Welcome to today's session. In this topic, we are going to look at mastering study skills as one of the component of professional communication or orientation for the university. So let us look at what study skills are. Study skills are techniques that help you learn and retain information effectively. They include note taking and active reading. So there's no way you can extremely perform well if you are poor in reading or if you can't take notes. In fact, taking notes and active reading is the key component of performance. So if you cannot read well, then you are not going to perform. So that's why we are saying that the study skills is all about taking notes. It's all about active reading. So in all, you need to master these two main skills. If you cannot master one of them, then you're going to be in a very serious academic trouble. So now let us look at the key issues in study skills. The key issue in study skill is procrastination. This refers to the act of delaying or postponing tasks or activities that need to be accomplished. What are the tasks for you as a student? Of course, the assignments, the examination, etc. So if you keep on delaying the assignment, then you are causing problems to yourself. Because at the end of the day, when the deadline is about approaching, you have not done the assignment, then you start fidgeting, looking for the answers. That's when the elements of plagiarism comes in. You go and copy, asking friend to help you because you are trying to beat the deadline. Yet from the beginning, it was given like 2 weeks or even 3 weeks to submit the assignment. So procrastination is very dangerous. It will affect your academic performance. So don't keep tasks. The moment it's given to you, please execute there and then so that you can move to the next assignment. Because you are working at workplace, your boss will also be demanding for reports. At home, you have family issues to attend to, yet at school here, you also have academic obligations or tasks to do. So the moment you keep on postponing, you are going to be in a very serious trouble. So it is common behavior that affects individuals in various aspects of their lives, including work, education, and personal goals. So from now onward, you need to understand that procrastination is very deadly in academic. It will affect your academic performance. So what are the causes of procrastination? One is lack of motivation. For example, if the question you think is very tough for you, instead of asking people or consulting other people to help you, you decide to keep quiet. The question is very hard. You lack the motivation to do the assignment. That's one of the causes. Number two is overwhelm and poor time management. This is common with the students. They keep on complaining that we don't have time. Yet everyone has 24 hours in a day. How comes you can take shower, you can WhatsApp, you can go and watch football, but you don't have time for assignment, you don't have time for academics? So poor time management should not be an excuse. You need to manage your time. Don't tell your lecturer that I don't have time. Everyone has 24 hours. So it depends on how you manage your time. So you need to allocate times for academics, you need to allocate time for leisure and etc. The next cause is fear of decision making. Some of you fear to make a decision. For example, in terms of question interpretation, if you are fearing to interpret the question, then you can end up pushing the assignment to the next week. So if you can't interpret the question, please, you better seek advice from the person who gave you the assignment, or you can contact your fellow students to help you in interpretation of the question only, but not sharing the answers. Because once the question has been interpreted, then it's very easy for you to attempt. So these are some of the causes of procrastination in the context of academics. Now let us look at the effects of procrastination. What happens if you keep on delaying tasks, if you keep on pushing tasks? One is increased stress and anxiety. Like I've told you before, the deadline is tomorrow and you have not done anything. So you'll be under very serious stress. So to avoid the stress, make sure that you attempt your assignments or examination on time. The next effect is reduced productivity. You're going to be less productive. That means the quality of the assignment you're going to submit is going to be very poor. And what happens if the quality is poor? Of course, you will earn little marks or even zero. So that's just because you have been keeping the work instead of doing it in time. Lastly is the negative impact on your mental health. Of course, stress can affect your health. You cannot concentrate, you will not eat because of the assignment which is supposed to be submitted tomorrow. All this, it has a lot of impact on your health. So therefore, you need to try at any cost to avoid procrastination. So these are some of the effects you are going to experience if you're one of the students who are ever practicing it. So how do you overcome procrastination? One is set clear goals and priorities. So you need to have priority. What task are you supposed to do today, tomorrow, and next tomorrow? Because tasks are always there. It's only how you prioritize them. So if you don't have priorities, then it becomes difficult for you to start attempting the assignment or to start doing other things because you lack priority. You don't know which one to start reading. So you must be having priority. The next one is break tasks into smaller steps. For example, if you are writing your research proposal normally has like three chapters. Chapter 1, which is introduction. Chapter 2, which is the literature review. And then finally, the research methodology. So you need to break them into small parts. For example, you start with the introduction only. You say, today or this week, I want to concentrate on the introduction part only. See, that's how you get organized. Then once you are done with the introduction, then you move to the next part of your proposal. Otherwise, you cannot write the whole proposal in just 1 week or 2 weeks. It is very stressing. So break them into a smaller tasks. Then lastly is develop time management skills. This one comes back to timetable. You need to draft personal reading timetable. Okay, if you don't have the personal reading timetable, not know what you're going to do today, you will not know what you're going to do tomorrow. At the end of the day, you're going to say that I don't have time. Yet you have the whole week, yet you have the whole month, just because you have not allocated the time appropriately. So you need to make sure that you have timetable to manage your academic activities, to manage your work-related activities, even at home. So you need a timetable so that you can get yourself organized. Now let us look at how you're going to avoid procrastination. The technique number one is just start the task. Okay, start the task. The moment the assignment has been given to you today, just start it. Okay, don't wait that I will do it tomorrow or I will do it next tomorrow. Next tomorrow will never come. You don't know what will be there next tomorrow. What if you fall sick? Okay, so do it the moment it was given to you if you have the chance to do it. Technique number two is set manageable goals. Okay, for example, you are attempting maybe the questions, there are 5 questions you need to attempt. You can say in the first week, I need to attempt like 2 questions. Okay, that one is manageable. Okay, 2 weeks, 1 week you can attempt 2 questions. Then you finalize the last 2 weeks with the remaining questions. So you can set for yourself manageable goals. You don't need to say, I want to attempt the questions all today. Yet you have like 3 or 4 weeks to submit the assignment. Why do you want to constrain yourself? So make it manageable. The next one is start with the simpler tasks. Okay, which one is the simpler task? For example, if the questions are 4, 5, then others are hard, others are simple. So you need to begin with the simplest task. This will give you momentum to attempt other questions. But if you start with the hardest question, it will demoralize you. So it is advisable that you start with the simplest question so that you can gain the momentum on the ground to attempt the next question. The next technique is create a list of things to do, or what we call to-do list. That one will help you to avoid procrastination, because you know at this time or on this day I'm supposed to be doing A, B, C, D. So it keeps you on track. You will not be left behind. Then the next one is set priorities. I've already explained to you. You have a lot of tasks, but you need to prioritize which one comes number 1, which one comes number 2. That one also helps you a lot. Then lastly, you need to stay positive, okay? Be motivated always. People who are not positive, people who always looks at failure, they are not motivated. Okay, they will not do things on time. But if you stay positive, motivated, you will always be doing your things or your assignments on time. So basically, these are some of the techniques you can use to avoid procrastination. Now let us look at the textbook reading techniques as one of the study skills. You can use the P2R system. The P stands for preview, then the first R stands for read, then the last one stands for review. So when you are reading, of course, you need to read while reviewing. Otherwise, if you don't review, you can easily forget what you are reading. The way you are reading textbook is different from the way you are reading a Bible or a newspaper. With a newspaper, you just skim. When I talk of skimming, I'm talking about reading very fast just to get the main idea. But detailed reading to pass, you cannot skim. Okay? So you need to review, reread until you understand the content you are reading. The next one is focus on the key points in the text. Perhaps highlight them. So not every words in the text are supposed to be read. You only need to focus on the key point. For example, if you are reading a topic which is called maybe Introduction to Professional Communication. So what are the key points there? Of course, the definition of communication, you are going to read about it. You are going to read about the objectives of communication, maybe importance of communication. So these are the key points you are going to read. But these other things you can just ignore them. They are not much to take time. The next one is read the entire chapter and take notes or summaries. So if you read but you have not completed the chapter, then you will not understand the content. So what makes the content complete is the whole chapter. You have to read the whole chapter for you to understand the content. Then, in the process of reading, you can be taking notes or summarizing what you have been reading. Otherwise, if you don't take notes and you don't summarize, our brain we can easily forget. We are not like computers. Okay, our brain can easily forget. So notes and summaries help us a lot. After reading, you just go through the notes or through your summary to keep yourself updated of what you have been reading. The next technique is you can skim. Of course, skimming is reading to get the main idea. Then lastly, you can pause and ask questions as you are reading. Okay. So when you're reading textbook, you need to have that mentality of asking questions to yourself. This is not a Bible whereby people don't ask questions. This is text. This is about academics. If you are reading about Introduction to Public Health, what are the areas which is examinable? You can get a sample questions. Okay, for example, the principle of public health, so determinants of public health. What are they? So that is how you keep yourself on track as you are reading a text. So these are some of the techniques you need to master as part of your study skills. Now let us look at the SQ3R technique. This is a technique for revising a textbook. It stands S for checking the outline. S could be, you can talk it about research, okay? You need to research for the outline or the topics in the text. Because some books are outdated or they are not relevant to your course. So you need to survey. Survey helps you to get the latest information, the latest or the relevant content in that text. So look through the outline or the topics or the content before you start reading. Then Q stands for question. So you write down a few questions. This helps you in reading actively. Like I've told you before, this is about academics. It's not a Bible. It's not a newspaper. With the newspaper, we don't expect questions. No one can ask you questions on newspapers unless maybe you're going for an interview. I'm not sure of that. But with the text or academics, we expect examination to come by the end of the course. They are going to examine you whether you have understood the content or not. So if you don't have that mentality of examining yourself, setting questions to yourself, then it's going to be very difficult to you. Okay, maybe when the examiner is asking the question, it will look like a new thing or it's strange to you. Yet you have the opportunity to revise or to familiarize yourself with the questions when you were reading. So question is very important part of reading technique. Don't just read without examining yourself through simple questions. Then the first R stands for read. Now you need to perform active reading, highlight important concepts, and write some notes. Like I've said before, you need to take notes as you are reading. That one will give you a summary. By the time you close the textbook, by the time you leave the library, you go with your summary or with your notes. So in case you are trying to forget, just pull out your notes and read through it. You can remind yourself of what you had read already. Then recite. Recite can be the same as repeat. Okay? You need to repeat or recite what you have already read. Repetition helps you to easily remember. Okay? If you don't want to repeat, then chances are high that you can easily forget what you have read for the first time. So that means in a paragraph, you need to reread it. It could be 2 times or 3 times or even more than that because you are studying. You're not just reading for leisure. We have the reading for leisure, but when you want to read and understand the content, you have to reread the paragraph more times for you to understand it very well. That is the second R. Then the last R is the review. Review is simply going through the chapter summaries again. Okay. Once you have reached the last point, then you can start afresh just to review, go through very briefly or very faster. So here you don't need to read into detail because you have been reading. So you just go through the whole chapter. That is under skimming. You can just skim. That is the technique we use for reading very faster. So that is about the S23R. So as you are planning to revise, even if it is a text or a lecture notes, please use this technique. It is very important. It can help you a lot in familiarizing yourself with the content, the resources. Now let us look at the preparation for examination. You have been reading, you have been taking notes. So now exams is coming. How do you get yourself prepared for the examination? I kept on telling people that those who are passing, they are not bright, but they are prepared. If you are not prepared, even if you are bright, you can still not do well in examination. So for you to do well in examination, you need to get yourself prepared. So how do you get yourself prepared for the examination? One technique is look through past papers. You can ask us, we can share with you the past papers of the module you are undertaking. The past paper will help you to give you the clue on what the examiner is going to set. The next one now is not the examination dates in advance. Some students are very funny. They even don't know that the exams is on such a date, but they know that there's exams. Now, how will you get yourself prepared if you don't know the exam date? Okay, so you need to know the exam date on time. That one will help you to revise accordingly. But if you are just there, don't care about the date for the examination, it is actually a sign that your performance will be okay. So as a serious student, you need to make sure that the date for the exams is always in your head. Then the next one is eat and drink well. So you need to eat because exams comes with the stress. For example, if you're having 3 hours uh, exams to write, you have 3 hours to sit in exams room and you are hungry, you are thirsty, your performance will, of course, not be well. Instead of writing, instead of concentrating on exams paper, you are there yarning, sweating. So eventually, the answers you have in mind will all evaporate. Then you will have nothing to write just because you are psychologically not comfortable. Lastly is use your study appropriate. When you talk of studies, it includes the timetable. Okay, you need to revise according to your timetable. You need to revise according to the exam's timetable. For example, if tomorrow you are starting with the human anatomy, tomorrow, and for you, you are revising maybe principles of public health today, but yet tomorrow is the human anatomy. That is how you are not using wasted appropriately. So make use of the timetable. If tomorrow is the human anatomy, please today you need to revise human anatomy. Leave alone the principles of public health. When the day come for the public health, and then you can also revise the principles of public health. So you can make sure that your study is used appropriately. So these are some of the techniques for preparing for examination if you really want to pass. Then let us look at the key study skills to develop. What are the key study skills you need to develop? One is the time management. This is all about the timetable now. You need to have timetable for yourself, for reading timetable. This one will help you to concentrate on studies and also to have time to execute your work in the office, even at home, you have some family responsibility to take care of. But if you don't have the timetable, it will be very difficult. You end up ignoring studies. Because with the studies, we don't penalize you. No one puts you on pressure. But at work, your boss will be asking for report. Your boss will be asking for things to do. Then even at home, the family issues, the press is there, you cannot ignore. You will feel like, okay, now let me just ignore the study since there is no pressure. But the pressure will come for during the examination. If you're not performing well, of course, you get a retake. What happens if you have a retake? One is you are going to pay money. Two is you're going to again sit for that paper. It's like you're doing double work. So why do you want to do double work? Just sit for that paper once and pass it. That can only be possible if you have personal reading timetable. Then the next one is active listening. When you're watching the video, you need to listen actively. It's not just a matter of watching. Take notes as the lecturer is presenting. Take note of the key point that is about the active listening. For people who are going to traditional system of study, that is in class face to face, they listen to the lecturers attentively while taking notes. Because most at university they don't write on chalkboard. What they do is they give you handouts. The lecturer comes and start explaining. You have your handouts there. So your work is specifically is to listen to the lecturer, and then if there is a question, then you can pause or ask the question. Now the next one is note taking. I've been emphasizing this, I think, for the third times now. You need to take note by writing down the points. So when you're taking notes, you don't need to write the whole paragraph the way it is. Just take the key points. Then lastly is effective reading, review, and summarize the material. So these are some of the study skills you need to develop if you want to excel in these academics. Now let us look at effective note-taking techniques. How do you take notes effectively? Use abbreviations and symbols to write faster. This is because when I'm speaking, I might be too faster and you cannot write all the words I'm speaking. So what you need to do is just use abbreviations or symbols to write down some of the key points I'm mentioning. Then step number 2 or technique number 2 is write down key points and the examples. Then lastly is organize notes with the headings and the bullet points. So you can also underline your headings, or you can bold it if you're using a computer. But if you are writing on a paper, you can make it, you can highlight it so that when you're reading, you know this is the main point or this is the answer. So these are some of the techniques of taking notes. Now let us look at academic success tips. How do you succeed in academic environment? Number one is attend classes regularly. This one is at traditional method, but for us, we're operating online. It means you need to watch these videos. Okay, you need to really have time and watch them. But if you cannot have time to watch the videos, you cannot have time to interact with the content, you don't read your notes, you don't read the textbook, my dear, it's going to be very difficult for you to pass. However much bright you are, you will never succeed. Because in academics, there is no miracle. You don't have academic miracle. So those who are performing miracle, I've never heard of anyone performing academic miracle. Me, I've never heard. So for you to perform, of course, you need to attend classes regularly or watch these videos, all of them, the one you are enrolled in, make sure that you watch them all, read the textbooks, and then the lecture notes. So make good notes. But for us, we already have the notes for you. Maybe what you need to do is just summarize it in your own understanding. So when you're summarizing, of course, the notes, you need to organize it, whereby the heading, under this heading, these are the points. For example, if your heading is academic success tips, the points under that heading should be the one for academic success point, but don't bring other points under the same heading because it will confuse you. That's how you get yourself organized. Then lastly is Keep time. Time management is very important. Time is becoming one of the key resources nowadays, leave alone other resources you have. Without time management, you are bound to fail. So, manage your time appropriately. So, these are some of the academic tips if you really want to succeed. Then, in conclusion, you need to develop practical study skills, which is an ongoing process. Keep learning and adapting your strategies to achieve academic success. Otherwise, that's what I had prepared for you. Thank you so much for watching. In the next presentation.